So I'm not 100% sure when it was decided that I'm responsible for answering the question, what's for dinner, every single night, but that seems to be how it's fallen in this family. So if there's anything you can take from these videos, even if it's just one recipe or one meal idea, then I'm happy that I've helped someone, because I just get sick to death of being the one to decide everything. My inspiration disappears and they're lucky they get fed at all. That being said, this week we are starting off strong with a roast beef brisket. I say roast, it was actually done in the slow cooker and finished in the oven, which is a little twist on how most people do things, but trust me, it is 100% worth it. You may notice that my filming setup is a little bit different. Hopefully things are going to be a lot clearer, a lot brighter, and the videos are going to be much better quality. I have finally invested in some studio quality filming lights after many years of deliberating and not really wanting to spend out and really not knowing where to keep them. But I found some that are nice and compact, easy to move around. And I've set up myself a really cozy little filming corner. I can plate up all my dishes here. I've got some nice little bowls and different bits and pieces, and my girl heart could not be happier. It just makes me smile every time I look at it. To start with, I just roughly chopped up an onion and some carrots. These are going to be the base for my brisket to go on top of. And then I make up a really, really thick gravy. Now, yes, I just use gravy granules. These were like the Lidl's Beef Best or specially selected. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but the key is to make it as thick as you possibly can. And I mean almost stand your spoon up thick. You don't need a lot of liquid. I think I probably used about 500ml maximum. I also threw in a red wine stock cube because anything red wine with beef is a win in my book. You're going to make up your extremely thick gravy, throw in whatever else you feel like. A teaspoon of Marmite is always good here as well. Then I'm just going to put my carrots and onions in the bottom of my slow cooker, pop my beef on top. We're not going to sear it first because I like to finish it off in the oven. The oven's going to be on anyway because I'm doing roast potatoes. And it just gives the most amazing crust, but it's still tender on the inside. So pop it straight in. I'm going to cover this up, and this is going on low for 7 to 8 hours until that beef starts to fall apart. So after about 6 hours, I like to take it out and give the string a little cut. Make sure to remove it, and then you can pop it back in and give it another couple of hours so it can stew in all those juices. So for my roast potatoes, I just like to parboil them until they're fork soft, and then a really important tip is to let them steam for about 10 minutes so they're completely dry. Give them a good bash around in the colander, and then add them to some really, really hot oil. Add any seasonings of your choice, so I've got some smoked sea salt and some garlic granules, and then pop these back into a really hot oven until they are beautifully golden brown. Next, I'm going to remove my carrots, my onions and my beef. This is all going to go into an oven-proof dish with about half of the liquid. Pop that in the oven whilst your potatoes are cooking, maybe for 15 minutes towards the end. The other half of the gravy, I'm just going to add in a little bit of corn flour mixed with water to thicken it up. We're going to pop this back on the hob, and then we're going to get round to plating up. So first of all, those lovely crispy roast potatoes. Really good serving of the beef. Don't come for me, my boys could eat for England, so portion sizes are big. Next, we're going to add in some of those lovely roasted carrots and onions. These have gone really sticky and caramelised. Steamed broccoli. And then to top it off, you're just going to want to smother your plate in that lovely beef gravy. So as you probably know, I had the slow cooked beef brisket last night as like a roast dinner, and it's now Monday morning, and I absolutely hate waste. I will not waste food. I will go to extreme lengths to make sure nothing ever ends up in the bin if possible. So we had a tiny bit of the beef left, quite a lot of gravy, a few carrots and some broccoli. So basically what I've done, I've just popped it in a dish. Yeah, not very appetising at the moment. I've chopped it up with some scissors because it was quite big chunks of brisket, and then I've literally just boiled up some potatoes. I boiled these in a shallow pan with a chicken stock cube. If you haven't tried that with your potatoes, then you need to try it. It gives them so much flavour. You don't need to add any salt because there's already salt in the stock cube. It's given them this really nice sort of golden colour as well. And what I'm going to do is fashion this into a little like cottage pie or like beef and mash pie, and then I'll put this for my dinner one night when the boys are having something I'm not keen on, like burgers or something. I'm not that fussed on rice, so I love mashed potato. So yeah, I just thought these potatoes were going as well. I've just used up, well, needed to go, should I say. So I'm also cooking my broccoli and Stilton soup, so I'll put potatoes in that. That's all the odds and ends of potatoes that were left in my sort of potato cupboard used up. So we really are getting on top of waste. And then that beeping you heard was my pressure cooker. I've got a whole chicken in there that we're still using up the 50% off chickens that Steve kept buying in Lidl. So I put a whole chicken in. I've added like loads and loads of really good for you ingredients. So I've put in turmeric, apple cider vinegar, celery, onion, garlic, black pepper to activate the turmeric. The apple cider vinegar will help release the collagen in the chicken. What else did I put in there? I've put in some fresh coriander. I also added a couple of cups of water. And the chicken I'm going to make a Masaman curry with, which I will show you shortly. The leftover broth, I'm just probably going to use this to drink. I've got quite a few chicken stocks frozen in the freezer, obviously frozen in the freezer. So I might just put this into smaller portions that I can just heat up and have a mug of. So good for you at this time of year. Oh yeah, I put some lemon juice in as well for the vitamin C. I feel like I'm really on top of it this morning. But yeah, there we go. There is my little cottage pie. Just saved that tiny little bit of food that we had left that wasn't really big enough for a portion. Used up my manky potatoes, and yeah, I've now got a delicious dinner for when the other lot are having something I don't want. So it is very obviously Halloween tonight, and I always do a little bit of a Halloween tea, and this year's no different. Even though the boys are slightly older, everybody likes a witch's finger. So we have got a cheese and leek Wellington thing here. Little mini cucumbers. I haven't decorated the whole house this year like I normally do, just this table and a couple of bits up there and that's it. So we've got a tuna pasta here. This is just tuna. I put some parsley in here, loads of seasonings, some mayo, 2 different types of pasta. Got some little cakey things in there. These are like Wednesday eyeballs, I think. Chicken goujons. Got the bats and ghosts that I always get in Lidl. I've made the witch's fingers because I don't care, you never really grow up, do you? They're supposed to be bones. They're very, very sour. We've got some crisps, and then we've got some long, those things. And yeah, they can just come and help themselves. They'll probably just grab it and go back to whatever they're doing, but I like doing it. So for dinner tonight we have got a turkey and chicken bolognese, which Steve has made. It went from turkey and chicken smash burgers to turkey and chicken meatballs, and it's turned into bolognese because that's what we decided we fancied. Rigatoni pasta. There's all sorts in here, I don't know what it is, big concoction. And then we've got some extra mature Cathedral City on top. And that is what is for tonight's dinner. So on this evening, of course, we had to have my delicious Somerset chicken. I have done an entire recipe that I've already got up on this channel. I will leave it linked down below. If you haven't tried it, I 100% recommend you give it a go. This is autumn, literally in a dish. It is so creamy and comforting, and it's really easy to make. Does anyone else hyperfixate on a meal and then you have to eat it over and over again? We have this at least once a week, and it is a warmed up flatbread topped with some mint yogurt. On top of this, I just put a handful of salad, any salad, it doesn't really matter what. And then I do some chicken in the air fryer for about 20 minutes. Again, the seasonings vary. It can be piri-piri, it might be shawarma. And this goes on top of your salad. On top of this, I like to add red onion and feta cheese. This time I also put on some garlic aioli, which really elevated this. So that's going to be on everyone from now on. Finish it with plenty of fresh coriander, and I could just eat this day in, day out, probably for the rest of my life. I will get bored with it at some point, but that doesn't seem to be in the near future. And it's not just me, my whole family enjoys it, but I think I'm the only one that is literally obsessed with it. So somebody asked me if I would show the process of making my broccoli and Stilton soup, and I'm quite happy to do that, but just a little disclaimer, as with most things that I cook, I don't tend to follow a specific recipe. So, oh my god, that cheese smells so strong. So basically, it's not even broccoli and Stilton. What even is this? This is cheese that I've had in the freezer. This looks like a Shropshire Blue. Barnstone, I think that says. Basically, it's like a Shropshire Blue, like a yellow cheese with like a Stilton kind of. It's a blue cheese, so that will do. This was in my fridge for ages and ages, and I thought, this is silly, I'm not using it, so I chucked it in the freezer. As you can tell, it's been in the depths of hell for God knows how long. I also have this one. This looks a lot like the Castello Creamy Blue. I can tell you now that it smells extremely strong. This has also been in my freezer. It was in a bag, I've just taken it out to show you. So I'm going to chuck those two in. I'm making quite a big one because I want to use these cheeses up. So in mine, I've also got some potatoes I've chopped up in here. There's 2 different types. I just think potato adds a little bit of creaminess and a little bit more texture. I'm going to add an onion and some garlic. I'm probably going to fry these off first just to release the flavours. I've got a bag and a half of frozen broccoli. I don't know if I'm going to need all of that. And the other thing I'm going to use, apart from like some seasonings, is chicken stock. So you could either make up your own. If you want to keep this vegetarian, you could use vegetable stock. I've got chicken stock I made a while ago and it's been in my freezer. So this is just from a chicken carcass. It's like bone broth stock, whatever you want to call it. And that's basically what I'm going to use. I can't think of anything else to add in. So I'm going to chop my onion and garlic and get that frying off. And then the rest of it is really just going to be put in a massive pan. You could do this in a slow cooker or pressure cooker. I'm just going to do it on the hob in a big pan and taste as I go. So I'm not worrying about cutting my garlic too small, firstly because I can hardly see because those onions are so strong, my eyes are really streaming. But also it's going to be blitzed anyway, so that'll do for that really, a little more chop. So yeah, I'm just going to sweat this off in a little bit of butter. I've got my chicken stock, you can probably hear it sizzling it away. I'm trying to defrost it in the pan, and then we're just going to throw in everything else really. Right, so my onions and garlic are browning nicely in the pan there. My stock's almost defrosted, so I'm going to add in my potatoes. Don't splash it. Decided on just one of the bags of broccoli. Obviously you could halve this recipe, use 1 block of cheese, half the amount of broccoli, potatoes, but I want to make a nice big one. I'm going to add in my onions and garlic. Okay, so my potatoes are soft and my broccoli is cooked. So what I'm going to do now, I haven't added my cheese yet. I'm going to give this broth a little taste, see if I need to add anything. The trick is with this, you don't want to add too much salt because obviously the blue cheese is very, very salty. I'm trying to get you in the middle here. Blue cheese is very, very salty, so I'm going to give it a little taste. I might add a little bit more chicken stock. I have added some more liquid because I've got fluff off my jumper hanging off my watch. I have added some more liquid because I wanted quite a big portion of this, or a lot of portions, because some of the boys eat it as well. So I'm going to taste the broth, see if I want to add another like chicken stock cube or anything, maybe some black pepper. Then I'm going to blitz it. And then we can add any more seasonings we like. Then we can add in our blue cheese, melt that through and then taste it, and I just find it better than adding the blue cheese in now. So I'm going to blitz this up, I'll probably get it all over me, but there you go. I'm just going to give it a taste. This would probably be a delicious soup without the cheese. So I'm going to add a little bit of smoked salt. I don't want to add too much at the moment. I'm just going to add that for now. And then I'm going to crumble in my cheese. I say crumble, I actually just mean delicately placed. I'm going to put rind and all. I guess this is a, sort of a similar version of like a broccoli cheddar soup, but obviously it's with a strong blue cheese. I'm going to mix that through. I'm going to let that melt. I'm going to give it another taste, but that is basically it. Now it's just about creating the flavour that you want, whether it be more black pepper. I probably will add a hint of cayenne because I absolutely love cayenne. A little bit of spice to cut through that creamy cheesiness. And that is literally it. It is so simple. Broccoli, potatoes, onion, garlic, stock and a cheese of your choice. And this will make loads and loads of lovely portions. Perfect for this time of year. Topped it with a few salt and black pepper croutons and some fresh parsley, and that is my beautifully creamy, cheesy broccoli and Stilton, or blue cheese, shall we call it, soup. Time to portion up my soup. I try and aim for about a tin per portion, so about 400 ml is what's in a normal tin of soup. That way I know that I'm not going to have some really massive ones and some that have got hardly anything in. So that's about 400. So what I'm going to do is take it to 800 and then I can get it out the freezer, and I know that I'll get 2 days out of that. Like 2 tins of soup worth, or if me and Steve want some, or Oscar maybe. And also once you've filled one tub, if you've got lots the same, obviously you don't need to keep weighing it. I now know that that is pretty much 2 portions of soup. So I've got 2 portions in each of these, that's 4. These are single portions, so that's 5, 6. I've had 1 portion for my lunch, which is 7, and then I've got about 2/3 of a portion left, so I'll just add something into that when I have it. Maybe I'll just have some bread with it that day or something. So yeah, that's what I got out of my broccoli soup. So here's my chicken out. It's not a very nice angle, is it? Sorry. Here's my chicken out of the pressure cooker. It's yellow, obviously from the turmeric. And I'm not gonna lie, this is one of my least favourite parts. I do love using a whole chicken. You get so much off of it. It's so much more cost effective than buying chicken breasts, especially when they're half price. But I do hate separating this all apart. The only saving grace is that this is literally like falls off the bone. It really is not going to take very much. I'm trying not to get turmeric on my new jumper. But as you can see there, you can literally just pull the bone straight out. So it's not too difficult to do. It's just a bit of a faff, and yeah, it dyes everything orange, so be very careful with the turmeric. So I'm going to get to splitting this up, pop it all in a bowl, and then we can get on with our Masaman curry. So all separated, and I'm just going to drain off the broth, discard the vegetables, and then I'll pop that in the fridge and I can scrape any fat off, and then we can portion it out. So we've got the broth in there. I am going to transfer it to a bigger bowl, so it's definitely going to spill. My chicken in there. This will all set into like a solid layer of fat. You can always save that fat to cook roast potatoes in, or use in other recipes that require oil or fat. And then this is the leftovers of like the vegetables. I've just smushed them down as much as possible, and as you can hear, the dog's obviously got his little treat as well. So for my curry, as always, I'm just using this curry paste that I get in TK Maxx. I always pick up a couple when I see it. I've used half of this one. Comes in like a plastic bag, and then there's half left, and it always does a really big curry. So one of these does 2 really big Masaman curries. I've got 2 tins of coconut milk. I've just bought some potatoes, Tesco Finest baby potatoes. So this is one of the reasons I try and do most of my filming in the mornings, because from about 3 o'clock onwards it's absolute chaos in this house. I had 2 boys come home at pretty much the same time, so of course they had to start to wind each other up. Then the school phoned me to talk about something else, and as soon as they know I'm filming, they literally revert to toddlers and start making as much noise and disrupting me as much as possible. So I chopped up my potatoes, gave them a wash. I then popped my paste in a big pan. I'm using a big pan, not a frying pan for a change. I've learnt my lesson. I fried this off first, then I added in my coconut milk, 2 tins of that. I put my potatoes and my onions in there and just let that cook through for about an hour until the potatoes were lovely and soft. The last 10 minutes or so I added my shredded chicken because it was already cooked, and then I just served this with some little seeded flatbreads, and my camera died, so there's not a very big picture of the end, but you've seen my Masaman curry before.